This guy has lived in this metal box for 71 years. He cannot move, so he eats like this, he reads like this, he types like this. And this machine is the only thing keeping him alive. Who is he? Why is he living in this machine? And how did he become a goddamn lawyer? Let me tell you his insane true story. In the US, we found Paul.
I not staying. I am Paul Richard Alexander. And I'm the man in the iron lung.
When Paul was just 6 years old, he was running outside, playing with his friends, just like a normal kid. But then he started to feel sick.
I started feeling bad, and I ran up, and I said, Mom, I don't feel good. Mom turned around and looked at me, and she said, please, God, not my son.
Soon he was in the hospital with other kids who all got the same disease, polio.
There were many years of struggle.
And there were lots of children. And
The iron lung.
yes, it's an iron lung. It's a machine that helps me breathe.
Within days, Paul went from being a kid running outside to a kid locked up in this iron lung.
It wasn't that I was locked up. It was to keep me alive.
Nobody thought he would be able to breathe without it until this happened.
My caretaker told me that if I could breathe for 3 minutes on my own out of the lung, she would give me a puppy.
So he tried. Every day his mom turned off the lung and he tried learning how to breathe again. He did this for weeks and weeks and weeks until finally he could do it.
I remember that day, the day I could breathe for 3 minutes. And I got that puppy.
After that, he taught himself how to breathe without the iron lung for many hours.
I could breathe for many hours without the iron lung. It's called frog breathing.
Yeah, this is the machine. You can see the machine have stopped working for him. You can see how he gaps in.
Frog breathing is taking a gulp of air and swallowing that air down into your lungs.
Learning how to breathe opened up the world to him. He left his lung, sat in a wheelchair, and saw the world.
When I finally learned to breathe out of the lung on my own, I was unstoppable. I went everywhere in my wheelchair. I went on many airplanes. I stayed in hotels. I even traveled to Mexico. When I went to Mexico, I had my iron lung delivered there.
He would spend the whole day without his lung, and at night he would go back into it. And it doesn't stop there. He went to 2 universities and got 2 degrees. He lived with his lung in a dorm room and went to class in a wheelchair.
I lived with a fraternity that they took care of me.
He even became a lawyer and went to court to fight cases.
I was a damn good lawyer. I would fight cases for people in court all day long.
Paul has been facing challenges every day ever since he got polio. But he doesn't let it stop him. Every day he wakes up and faces the day with a smile on his face.
I am just like everyone else. I get up, I brush my teeth, I shave, and I go on with my day.
He even wrote a book about his life with just a stick in his mouth, like this.
This is my memoir. It took me 5 years to write it, letter by letter. It's called 3 Minutes for a Dog.
Life in the iron lung is normal for him. But how does it even work? Well, this machine is literally a giant lung. See, we all use muscles to help us breathe. So when Paul got polio, his muscles stopped working and he could not breathe on his own anymore. So this machine works like muscles for Paul's lungs. Let me show you how. Air is pumped like this. When the air goes in, his lungs are forced to fill up. When the air goes out, his lungs are forced to empty.
It's a negative pressure machine. It helps him to breathe. This is what pushes the air in and it raises the ribs up and down.
Paul wears this collar around his neck to keep the air inside. There's a mirror for him to see what's around him. These little ports are for nurses to put their hands in to help him. If the power goes out, Paul has a big problem. But luckily, he has a backup plan.
If the electricity goes out, I can and do use battery power.
Paul is one of the last people on the planet who still use this lung. But why does he need this 50-year-old machine in the 21st century? Turns out it's because he needs to keep his mouth free to do everyday tasks.
I can keep my mouth free, which is what I use to write, to talk on the phone, and to make a living.
Paul's entire life changed when he was 6 years old because of one disease. And the sad part is, the polio vaccine was invented after he caught the disease.
Polio vaccine was not developed until after I got polio.
You might think that polio is just a thing of the past, as old as this machine. But it is not. Polio is still around today in places like Pakistan and Afghanistan because sometimes vaccines are not available and sometimes people choose not to use them. That's why it's so important to get vaccines for diseases like polio.
You must get the vaccine. That is contributing to my determination. My mother,
is not our health or our age or how much money we have. It's our mind. So if Paul can do great things while in the iron lung, imagine all the great things you could do if you